when you're dealing with the real serious blues type, there's generally a shade of human hope. And he has some songs in which there is none, And I have a couple in which there's none. I have a couple songs, a few songs that I don't even play. But I wrote them and I've played them once and I've recorded them, And other than that, unless it's real late at night and I've been on the road for a real long time, I just don't play them because nobody needs to hear the blues that bad.
Well, sometimes I don't know where this dirty road is taking me. Sometimes I can't even see the reason why. I guess I'll keep a gambling, lots of booze and lots of rambling. It's easier than just waiting around to die. Well, one time, friends, I had a ma, I even had a pa. He beat her with a belt once 'cause she cried. She told him to take care of me. She headed down to Tennessee. Oh, it's easier than just waiting around to die. Well, I come age and I found a girl in a Tuscaloosa bar. And she cleaned me out and hit it on the sly. I tried to kill the pain. I bought some booze and hopped a train. Seemed easier than just waiting around to die. And a friend said he knew where some easy money was. We robbed a man and brother did we fly. They told her to take care of me. They drug me back to Tennessee. And it's 2 long years of waiting around to die. Oh, but now I'm out of prison. I got me a friend at last. He don't drink or steal or cheat or lie. Well, his name's Codeine. He's the nicest thing I've seen. And together we're gonna wait around and die. Well, together we're gonna wait around.
Townes Van Zandt was born on March 7th, 1944 in Fort Worth, Texas. He came from a privileged background as his father was a wealthy corporate lawyer and his lineage was quite powerful in the state. As you will come to understand, the life of the city and the life of the rich and powerful would not suit Townes and his tormented soul. He was an incredibly bright kid, scoring high on aptitude tests, and it is said that his IQ was even 140 or above, which is genius level. However, when he reached university, he started exhibiting extremely troubling symptoms of bipolar and alcoholism. He would drink until blackouts and started neglecting his studies, failing out of most of his classes. Now, what you have to understand about bipolar is it comes in all shapes and sizes. Some people will suffer from aggressive mania where they spend all their money, have risky sex, and become grandiose. Stuff like becoming the president, and others like Townes fall into crippling depression and use drugs and alcohol to numb the pain. This, along with traveling around, as he calls it, rambling, would become a pattern in his life as he was always on the move and he was always high. However, his talent was remarkable, and he soon began making a name for himself on the blues scene in Houston, taking influences from guys like Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, and an amazing bluesman named Lightnin' Hopkins. One of his songs, Waiting Around to Die, which we listened to in the beginning of the video, describes what it's like for someone to suffer from bipolar and addiction. So I'm going to go into the lyrics here and basically do an analysis and breakdown of this song and describe to you guys how each verse synchronizes with his experiences and also the experiences of many others with bipolar, which it's a beautiful song. It's one of my favorites of all time. So we'll go into the lyrics here. It says, sometimes I don't know where this dirty road is taking me. Sometimes I don't even know the reason why. The key word in this phrase is sometimes because it describes the ups and downs of bipolar. Sometimes he feels on top of the world and knows exactly where he's going, and other times he's in the dumps. Either way, we see Townes explaining how the path before him has somehow become dirty, whether by his own choosing or something out of his control. He has taken a path that is corrupted by something filthy. Addiction will do that. He goes on to say, but I guess I keep it gambling, lots of booze and lots of rambling. I guess it's easier than waiting around to die. So waiting around to die, this phrase is synonymous with depression and nihilism and his life having no purpose. This is a feeling that a lot of people will get, especially on a crash from mania, when they feel depressed. They will feel like their life doesn't mean anything. Their life, is just basically them waiting around to die. They have no purpose. So, alcohol and gambling, never staying in place too long, as he calls it rambling, as I said earlier, has become his coping mechanism for the persistent feeling that his life is just waiting around to die. It's that nihilistic phrase that no doubt comes from the depths of his depression. He goes on to say, one time, friends, I had a ma, I even had a pa. He even beat her with a belt once because she cried. Now, this is a beautiful and genius line, because although we know Towns came from a great background, picturesque, you can call it, he says, one time, friend. So he's acknowledging to the listener that he understands that the feeling of depression, anxiety, and anger comes from trauma. She told him to take care of me, headed down to Tennessee. It's easier than just waiting around to die. This verse discusses his abandonment and how his mother escaped her abuser, which gave her the feeling of waiting around to die. Mental illnesses and abuse can be generational, as also
what Towns was acknowledging in this
verse. I came of age and I found a girl in a Tuscaloosa bar. She cleaned me out and hid it on the sly. Found love in a place that no doubt is a part of the dirty road he referenced earlier. Additionally, part of the mania is excessive spending, as I noted. So in a manic episode, he fell in love in a bar, spent all of his money, and the woman left him, just like his mother. Well, I tried to kill the pain. I bought some wine and hopped a train. It seemed easier than just waiting around to die. Again, he is referencing the coping mechanisms of running around, using alcohol to escape the feeling of depression, which followed his manic episode. Then a friend said he knew where some easy money was. We robbed a man, and brother, did we fly. Back to mania, as I noted earlier, it's something that is hard for people with bipolar and addiction to hold down jobs. Which is true. Yeah, I mean, when you up and down, you become a very inconsistent person. In this case, his friend encouraged him to commit a robbery for some quick money, and in this manic state, he agreed, and brother, did we fly, which tells you he was manic. But the posse caught up with me and drug me back to Muskogee. I don't remember what state that is. And it's 2 long years of waiting around to die. He was arrested. Now he has no coping mechanisms because he's in prison. He has to face it. And this is the first time he does not say it's better than waiting around to die, because now he's waiting around to die. He's got to face it. But now I'm out of prison. I got me a friend at last. He don't drink or steal or cheat or lie. He has been released from prison and has finally found a friend he thinks to be honest, somebody that's not a part of the dirty road. His name is Codeine, and he's the nicest thing I've ever seen. Well, together we're going to raid around to die, and here's the plot twist. His friend is an opiate, a strong one, called codeine, which is often used in folk. A lot of folk people talk about any sort of opiate, morphine, heroin, anything as codeine. And he's now resigned to the fact that his life will be a state of depression, waiting around to die for the rest of his life. He never mentions the drug in the song before, but now he does. He's always mentioned alcohol, but now he's talking about how it's escalating. His life is getting worse. He's going to prison. He has no control over his bipolar, and he's just waiting around to die. So he turns to the most ultimate emotional anesthetic, which in this case is opiates. If any of you have had surgery or something, you know that they're brutal. They will just shut your lights off, and you don't feel a damn thing. Anyway, with this, when Towns was alive, I noted in my essay how mental health was something that wasn't very talked about. You had guys coming home from the Second World War, and they're the silent generation. They didn't talk about it. There was guys from Vietnam. They didn't talk about the trauma. PTSD wasn't a thing. They called it shell shock. There was these crazy, brutal treatments that people went. Even Towns, he went through insulin shock therapy, and he lost most of his long-term memory. It was just brutal. They locked people up, threw away the key. But now, today things are a lot better. People talk about mental health a lot more. There's been more developments. The medications are better. But I still like to see, especially with comorbidity and addiction and bipolar, I'd like to see some strides made there. There's just more that we could do. The numbers, AA is great, but the numbers don't indicate that people are getting well on a rate that we'd like to see. So Townes Van Zandt's great. I would encourage most of you to listen to his music. He could be dangerous if you're in a down place, but if you really want to get an understanding of real darkness and real, mental health and these things. I mean, this guy, it's beautiful stuff. But anyway, class, thanks. Bye.